Hey, welcome back. So today I am breaking down this two-tiered cake for you. This was a content cake. It is just going to my friends, which makes it perfect for me to show you how to break it down. Starting off with my supplies, I have a very sharp knife, a cutting board or flat surface, a offset spatula, something flexible, and then my plates or containers, and then some paper towels to wipe your knife off with. If needed, you can also use some warm water to heat your knife up. Starting off, I'm going to remove my fondant decoration from the top of my cake and set them to the side. And I apologize for this weird flashing of light. My phone is trying to figure out if it should light my face or the cake, which is why it switches between super bright and normal. But the first step to disassemble your cake is to kind of separate your top tier from your bottom tier. I'm using my offset spatula here, or you could use your knife to get under that cake board. The cake board is what the cake is sitting on, and it's stopping the cake from basically sinking into each other. Since my cake is straight from the fridge, this butter is rock hard, which means it is taking me a little bit to get my cake board up. If you are doing this with a warm cake, you should have a much easier time. Keep in mind though, the warmer your cake, the easier it is to smudge the frosting and get it all over the place, so just be careful. So after wedging my palette knife in there, I basically am able to pop it up, grab it with my hands, and lift it off the skewer and place it on my flat surface. I'm cutting my top tier using the traditional triangle method. I'm going to cut it in half, cut that half in half, and then cut each of those quarters in half, producing 8 slices, or what would be 8 slices, assuming I didn't take a huge chunk out of it for a photo. These are super traditional slices that people remember at birthday parties, and to me these are a little bit too big, but this would get you 8 slices for a 6-inch cake. You could also maybe get 12 slices. These to me are a little bit too big. I would probably go 12 triangle slices for one 6-inch cake. Once you get your top tier sliced up, you want to go ahead and give yourself a little bit of a reset. I like to throw away any cake scraps, scrape off my board with my knife so it's nice and clean, wipe off my knife with a paper towel, and then move to my bottom tier. I start by removing my center dowel, and if you have them, use some pliers to remove your dowels. Make sure your pliers are clean. My pliers are only for cake, so that's why I use these. Otherwise, if you don't have pliers, that's fine. Just cut around your dowels and just pull them out once you've cut your slices. For my bottom 8-inch tier, I am using the cursed but also very loved by bakers square method or the party method. I started out by cutting my cake right in the middle and then cutting lines on either side to give me 5 even rows, so 5 by 5 being 25 slices at the end of this. Once I have my score marks, I'm going to start with my first one, and I'm just going to cut all the way down like one big slab. Make sure you work smarter, not harder. Turn that cake as you need to get the easiest angle for you. I place my slab of cake on my flat surface, turn it around so I can see my score marks, and then just cut all the way down lengthwise. For these end pieces, I typically don't use those far corner ones. They're mostly frosting anyway, so I end up with 2 slices from my end, and these 2 are baker scraps or, host scraps. Make sure you're wiping down your knife and your board as necessary. The cleaner your knife and board, the cleaner your slices will be. Those slices gone, time to cut the next slab. Turning my cake as I need, I want to release that bottom. Remember that cakes are secure to the bottom of your cake board, typically using frosting. If it's a large cake, they might even use royal icing or chocolate, so it really secures it. So make sure you wiggle your knife under your cake so when you remove that cake slab, you don't leave the bottom sponge attached to your cake board. And then just continue to plate your slices as normal. We're going to slow it down for this one to like 1.5 speed instead of 4 speed. So again, cutting all the way down. Make sure your knife is touching that cake board. Your cake boards typically are going to be cardboard. Don't feel bad if you cut into them. They are disposable. So make sure you're getting your knife all the way down. And then as you'll see here, I'm going to turn my cake board again and wiggle my knife under that slab. I want to release that from the cake board so I can pull everything up, use my hand to stabilize, and then drop this on my flat surface. Then I'm going to cut some slices. This could get 6 slices or more, depending on how big you want. I recommend a 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch square that is 6 inches tall, because my cakes are 6 inches tall. But it really is up to you and how hungry your guests are, how much food they have, and how much of a cake lover they are. I also want to note here that I am, again, cutting a very cold cake. This has only been out of the fridge maybe 10-15 minutes, so it is very cold, which produces these really lovely slices. It makes my cake easier to handle. However, if you eat a cake that is this cold, it will taste very dry and not very flavorful. So I recommend finding some balance between being able to cut your cake neatly enough, but also not serving your guests ice cold cake and having it be close to room temperature so everything is nice and warm and delicious. A bit about this cake. This was an apple pie inspired cake, so I did a brown butter sponge with a cinnamon buttercream filling. I then in that filling put some apple butter and like an oatmeal crumble for like a topping, and then frosted everything with a super silky smooth vanilla bean Swiss meringue buttercream. It was to die for. My friends are so excited for this cake. That does bring me to a con of this slicing method, which is for me with my filling, sometimes the filling doesn't reach the entire edge because it's so liquidy. So I use apple butter, which was very liquidy, and so I put it only in the interior, like 5 inches of my cake. So if you get an exterior slice, like maybe on this corner here, one of these corners, you're not going to get the full experience of all the cake. So you want to make sure that when you're deciding what cake you want to figure out how you're going to cut it and what filling you want to make sure that your guests get the best experience. So for a cake like this, it may be worth me cutting it into triangles so that way everyone gets every single filling. In the end, I got 8 slices from the top of my cake and 21 slices from the bottom, coming in at just under 30 slices. However, I still find these square slices a little bit too big because they are so tall. I like to cut mine in half again, I know, producing over 60 half slices. I prefer starting my guests out with small pieces because they can always go back for seconds if they need it, but also no one throws away extra cake because they got a piece that was too big for them. I also like that with the square method, people can choose if they want a lot of frosting with the edge piece or a little frosting with the middle piece. But I want you to tell me your thoughts. Let me know if you prefer the traditional method or the party method. That is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like my video and want to see more of my content, you know what to do. I'll see you in the next one.